Oftentimes, the reason to not have a balanced frequency response over a mix, it has, let's say, three main reasons why this can happen. The first of which is room treatment or no room treatment in the room you're working with. Because if your room, for example, has a lot of problems in the mid-range, which most regular size rooms have, if they have no room treatment, you will have standing waves and stuff around everything between 80 and 500 hertz or something. You have cancellation in some areas, you have boosts in other areas, so it's like a wild mix. And then you start counteracting in your mix, because what you hear in the room is something, and you can only react to what you are hearing, right? You are mixing with your ears. And if your room is telling you, oh, so many mids, then you start carving out because you think it's the mix, while in fact it can very well be that it's the room. It's not what's coming out of the speaker, but it's what your room is letting you think that it is. And for example, here, this big bump in 200 hertz, it may be that at the listening position of Mirkea, that he is not hearing that frequency very well and thinks, I'm lacking 200 hertz, and he's boosting that stuff, while he's only in a dead spot. If he would be sitting a meter further away from his actual position, he would hear it maybe double as loud and would cut it out. So this is room acoustics. The other thing is the speakers that you're using. While nowadays you can get, even for a small budget, you can get somewhat flat frequency response speakers. But sometimes, especially if you're working on headphones, sometimes they have like a pretty, funky frequency response, or the way they reproduce frequencies, maybe too much lows or a big bump in the middle or a big dip in the middle or something. And well, if that's what you're hearing and you're not referencing against other songs that are fine in the frequency response, then you may misinterpret what's going on and you think there is too much of a certain frequency while it isn't, and you are doing a wrong move just because you're listening wrong. The third thing is ear fatigue, or lack of referencing, and or the lack of experience or long time experience mixing, because you start working, you start twisting knobs, and you can drastically change the sound so quickly that you can get lost very quickly, so that you really completely lose any point of reference. Or if you're listening very loud, or change the volume very often, or some people like to use like 5 different pairs of speakers and switch back and forth, and you completely lose every point of reference. And having some anchor point to come back to neutralize your hearing and to get some kind of trustworthy reference base point to base your decisions upon is so crucial. So for me, for example, I've been working with these speakers in this room now for 15 years. I don't need to reference between reference tracks as much as I did years ago, but I still do sometimes. Just quickly check, am I still in the ballpark? Or am I getting a little bit bright because my ear's getting tired and I'm hearing less high frequencies the more the day progresses, and I counteract it by adding more treble, as is healthy for the mix, just because I can't hear them anymore. Referencing with a healthy sounding mix is a very good idea. Don't listen too loud, try to listen always at the same volume. Get used to what you're listening to and give yourself a chance of getting some reliable experience and some reliable reference point that you can trust on for taking your decisions. Because if your room acoustic is bad and you switching monitors all the time and switching volume all the time and never reference, you get lost so quickly. That happens within minutes, and then you listen to it and you think everything is cool, and for you it's sounding cool, but as soon as you compare it to a healthy mix, then you will see obvious problems. And here, this 200 hertz area and everything being a little bit like this tells me that there is one, two, or all of the factors that I mentioned involved.